historic Commercial Vehicle Society's annual run from Bournemouth to Bath is now in its 30th year, and with over 50 vehicles taking part, spectators along the route will see an array of very unusual classic vehicles. Formed in 1958, the Society now has over 4,000 members, who between them own more than 7,500 vehicles. The interest in the preservation of commercial road vehicles is ever growing. Don, what's your sort of title in all the organisation of this event?
Today I'm the clerk of the course, which means I'm sort of in charge of the event, but I've got a lot of help, of course. But I'm actually the chairman of the Society, the whole of the group.
Where do you think the interest comes from with commercial vehicles?
I think, in fact, if you look at the people who have got the vehicles, lots of them are associated in a way with their work and their business. And I think a lot of things like that help to make them sort of carry on and preserve the things. Other things that I think is just really an interest in old vehicles, because strangely enough, although some of them look quite new, they are quite old. Lorries and vans and trucks haven't changed that much over the year. You have to go a long way back before you start seeing a real change. And the other good thing about it is, which is very important, they are out on the road so people can see them. So it's like a mobile museum, which is what we half claim to establish with the Society.
It's time for the run to hit the road as we start our journey from Bournemouth to Bath via the halfway point in Shaftesbury. It'll be a slow drive for some of these vehicles whose top speed is less than 20 miles an hour. But it's a great chance for the owners to show off their pride and joy. Between them, these vehicles portray a living history of the commercial transport scene of days gone by. Well, we're halfway there, having travelled 40 miles from Bournemouth to Shaftesbury, and I think it's now time for a well-deserved break and a chance to catch up with some of the owners of these fantastic vehicles.
I found it on a farm in '92 and restored it over 6 years.
And did you do all of it yourself?
Yes, just about all of it. Yeah.
Did you have a lot of problems with the restoration, or did it run quite smoothly?
It ran okay. I had to put a new body on it, actually make the body to the original pattern. That was completely new. And the cab was taken off and completely refurbished, and the engine was rebuilt.
It's an Albion Model 24. Albions were built at Scotstoun near Glasgow. It was new to post office telephones in 1929. I've got three now. I've got another Albion that's a bit later than this one. That's a 1939. I've also got a 1926 Leyland. And they're nice. I find a lot of pleasure in them anyway.
Well, it spent all its life in Scarborough, and it became derelict about 20 odd years ago, or more, 30 years ago. It stood for about 17 years in a scrapyard, and Bradford Council got hold of it and they restored it as a project for the apprentices.
How long did it take for the restoration?
2 years. 2,000 hours.
A lot of men working on it.
There was me and about 3 apprentices for a while, and then we just finished it off on its own.
Roland, we've seen this fantastic bus. I've been sat in it earlier. Can you tell me a bit more about it?
Yes, it was new to Hanson Dorset Motor Services in 1950 and one of a pair, and it was bodied locally in Portsmouth by Portsmouth Aviation, which makes it quite unusual because they didn't build many bus bodies. And for some reason this one survived. This one is fitted with an overdrive gearbox, which means that it will comfortably do 50 miles an hour, which is quite exciting because it's great at 50, except it's difficult trying to stop it.
Yeah, all of you had to stick your legs out the back and dig your heels in.
Parachute at the back, yeah.
For the second leg of the run, I've hitched a ride on board David Jux's 1952 Austin K8 coach. Unused since the early 70s, this vehicle was rescued and restored to its former glory.
We did some research. There's only one other left like this. It's based up in Derbyshire. The bodybuilders called Plaxton, they built 12 of these on an Austin chassis, which is Austin, and on another one called a Comma chassis. There's only 2 Austins left out of 12 built in the 50s. So it's just a pretty rare vehicle. And there it was, sitting at the back of this old garage, covered in dust and muck. Hadn't moved since 1971. This was November '87. And it took me about 3 months to negotiate a canny old man who owned it, he owned the coach company, to part with it. So I found it just by chance, really.
I'm very lucky then to have that. How long has it taken you to restore it?
6.5 years, 1988 through to its first rally was 1994. But no, it's pretty basic. It's based on a chassis that was built for an ambulance, an Austin ambulance, and it's got a better suspension than the van had. There's a van and ambulance. So those basic, it's pretty solid stuff.
So it's a slow but fascinating drive as we continue on to Bath in a real mobile museum.